My name's Adam, I'm part of the marketing team at StreamGo, and today we're going to be answering all your questions on virtual events. So let's get started.
So panels are interesting. When you have them in person, you'd have everyone right in front of you there on the stage. So I definitely suggest webcams are the way to go. Other things to think about? Do you have a fun, dynamic host leading the way? They can make or break a panel. And lastly, how do you project them to the audience in the broadcast? Do you have everyone on camera at the same time? Or do you use something that's launched using voice recognition? I'd suggest the latter actually. You know, it's quite often I've seen panellists, if they're all on the screen at the same time and they haven't spoken for 5 minutes, they're not great at behaving themselves and become a massive distraction.
I would recommend keeping your event on one link. That way, all your promotion, your confirmation emails, your reminders, they all go to the same place, and it's nice and easy for your attendees to know exactly where they're going. It also means that if your event is overrunning, a session is having loads of questions, then they're not going to miss out on anything. They'll be there maybe 5 minutes too early for their session, but they'll still be in the right place. If you have multiple links for different sessions, it might become a bit empty and fragmented for the users, and that attendee experience isn't quite the same as going to a conference hall as you would in a physical event.
So there's a lot of talk about hybrid events, and let's face it, it's what we're going to see going forward, I think, as virtual events have taken over for obvious reasons. And the move in the future, lots of people are going to think, why do I have to travel that far to get to a conference? I'm not really up for it. I don't have the budget, the time. So thinking about hybrid events of the future, what does that mean? You're going to have people in a room, you're going to have an audience, you're potentially going to have a stage, and then you're going to have an online stage and an online audience. And how do you mix the two together so it seems cohesive? Well, there's a number of ways. Let's get them on a platform so that they can network together. They can chat, they can meet, they can have video conference calls. Let's join them together as a networking group so that there doesn't feel like a complete gap. And that can be delivered with some sort of app or mobile link. The second thing I think about is how it's brought together from a staging perspective. So you've got people live on the stage, you've got people working remotely or who can't travel to the conference and be filmed and live streamed from that stage. Let's think about how we bring those together. So you might have a video screen on the stage, and that's how we bring the remote presenters in. It's a bit like watching the news and someone being brought in via video link. It's exactly the same principle. Bring them into the video screen and then we'll mix to them. It makes it look like a really nice, joined together piece of production.
So the first aspect you need to consider is your camera quality. Without a good camera quality, your audience may struggle to see you whilst you're presenting your virtual event. The second aspect is similar to the camera quality, but it's to do with sound. So you need to get a good microphone to ensure that whilst you're speaking, your audience can hear you very clearly, so they can pick up the information you're trying to transfer to them. The third aspect you need to consider is your lighting. So regardless of your camera quality, without a good lighting setup, your audience may struggle to see you. So you need to ensure that you've either got some good natural light coming through the windows, or you can set up some artificial light to bring the light levels up to a level which allows your camera to pick up a clear picture of yourself. To set up a virtual event, you'll need a virtual event provider. To choose a virtual event provider, you'll need to ask each provider a number of questions so you can choose the right one to suit your needs. You need to ask your virtual event providers about the interactive features they have on their platform. These interactive features are really important because they're what's going to be engaging your attendees. So you need to make sure you've got the right interactive features to suit your style of event. These interactive features could include audience polls, live chat, or even breakout sessions. The first thing you need to ask about is cost. Each different virtual event provider will offer a different level of service, and with these different levels of service are different levels of cost. So some will be more fully managed, these will be more expensive, or some will be more self-service, which will be more of a budget price. Lastly and most importantly, you need to ask your virtual event providers about sponsorship opportunities. Sponsorship opportunities like sponsor booths, for example, are really important because they allow you to generate revenue and actually cover the costs for the event itself.
Virtual events in multiple languages. Well, it can be a bit challenging, but if you've got a truly international audience, then why not? How can it be delivered? Well, there's loads of different ways that you can deliver translation in the same way as when you're delivering an in-person conference. Online, we can bring in live simultaneous translation, and usually we'd use a client's own translation service. You might ask why. Well, they're so used to their glossary of terms and what they're talking about as an organisation. If you bring a new team on board, they've got to learn all of that. So the lead time to the event, it takes a lot longer. So I'd suggest use your own translation service. Do you want the pages translated as well? So all of your landing pages, so that the journey for one particular language isn't just the spoken word, it's the written word as well. The other option, of course, is subtitles. And subtitles can come in, again, in a variety of ways. They could be always on. So if you've just got a main language and a translated language, always on subtitles could work. But then we can have toggle on or off and a drop down of multiple different languages for subtitles. A key here, I would suggest, is pre-record. Your life's going to be so much easier, your translator's life's going to be so much easier if it's a recorded piece of content that can be transcribed, and that means that it's written down post-recording. Once it's written down, it's much easier for the translator to learn the context around some of the words, make sure that it's absolutely perfect when it comes to translating, and those subtitles would be seamless.